Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this AutoTrail Apache. It's a 59 plate, so that's late 2009, early 2010, and it's a 632. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start under the bonnet, walk my way around, and then I'll get into the inside and show you how to use all the appliances and things in there. So under the bonnet, we've got all of your consumable bits and pieces the majority of them are over here on the left-hand side. So we've got your washer fluid at the top, power steering fluid, engine coolant, brake fluid, and engine oil. The engine oil dipstick is this one just down here with a red top. Over towards the right, we've got your air filter inside this box just down here. And because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab, just in front of the passenger seat, you have got a positive terminal for the engine battery just here, and a negative point or an earthing point just here. So if you wanted to jump start the van, you've got those 2 points just there, nice and easy to get to. 249 just here on this little sticker, that is your Fiat white paint code. So if you ever needed any touch-up paints, it's Fiat 249. You've got your air conditioning information just here telling you what gas and how much of it. Chassis plate just there as well, 3.5 tons, so you can drive it on any car license. And that's about it for under the bonnet really. So on the passenger side here, if I open up the door, not much to show apart from the fact that you've got your bonnet release handle just here, and the engine battery cover is that one down there. There you got your jack and wheel brace kit just there, inside there underneath the passenger seat as well. And that's about it. So just behind the passenger door, you've got your diesel filling point. You will need your ignition key to get that to open up, but that is where you get to that. Next locker over is your gas locker. So you've got a space, you've got space in here for two 13 kilo propane bottles if you want them. So that's a maximum size you can have. But at the moment, we always just give away a full 6 kilo propane bottle. So you've got a stainless steel pigtail hose here as well. So you've got till 28 to replace that. The regulator at the top, you haven't got to do anything with that. That's all just for our sort of testing purposes. So all you need to know really is that anti-clockwise on the valve here turns the bottle on, all the way on like that until it won't go any further. And then when you want to turn it off, we go clockwise all the way down, round to the right to turn it off. Make sure that you turn the gas bottle off before you start driving. That's really important. But yeah, that's about it really. So just inside the actual habitation door, you'll see you've got this black button. If I press on that, you see the step comes in and out nice and easy. You've got this switch just here as well, which I believe does a light up there. There you go, just above the control panel. So I'll jump back inside in a minute and show you the rest of the van. Right, so the next locker we get to is the toilet cassette locker. So this is a Thetford toilet cassette. Really simple to use. All you need to know really, I'm going to pop that back over there. So to remove the cassette itself, you lift up on this little orange tab here, and then you can take this all the way out. So as long as you've lifted up that little tab, you will then be able to take the cassette all the way out. All you need to know really is that you empty the actual cassette from this little cap here, and when you're physically emptying it out, you need to be holding down this little orange button here at the back. Once you've emptied it out and you're going to go put it back in, you need to put about a cap's full of the blue fluid back inside the cassette, give it a little swish around, and then push it all the way back in, making sure that that little thing there goes over that lip. Once that's pushed all the way back in, you can go ahead and use the toilet back inside. It's as easy as that. Next door to that, we've got an external gas point. So the reason they put them on these near side of these British built vehicles is because you've got the awning here. So you could have the awning wound out and then use your external gas point or your barbecue point here for a barbecue or whatever you want outside. So as long as you've got the gas switched on in the locker there, you'll be able to use your external gas point. So the layout of this particular vehicle is that you've got a fixed bed in the back and a really nice big garage at the back here as well. I will explain about this door being here when we get inside. So water pump sits just here. You've got a strainer on the side of the water pump, so it's not a filter, but it will stop any big sediment coming through. But that's just, I'm just showing you where the water pump is really. This big pole here is the winder for your awning. So if you want to wind the awning out, we have checked it on the habitation check, so we've made sure that it's all good and working and lubricated. But that's where the winder is for that. So at the back of the van, you've got your reversing camera up there in that little sort of hatch there. You've got a 2-bike rack, and you've got space in there, which is normally the access to the spare wheel. So you've got what's called a Southco key. I'll just show you on your keys. That's a Southco key, and what it does is it basically just slots into these little grooves here, and it'll undo. You've got 3 lockers on this van that work from the Southco key. You've got the gas locker at the front, that locker there at the back for the spare wheel, and you've got a little lower locker down there at the front there, which is where your leisure battery sits. So this is obviously just the other side of the garage, but I do need to show you something in here. So you've got this little yellow tab. If I just steady the camera. So the little yellow tab there is your boiler drain off point. So if you wanted to drain the water out from inside your boiler, so if you're getting ready to winterize the van like we are now because it's getting quite cold, you would lift the tab up like it is now, so it's facing upright, and that will drain all of the water out from inside the boiler. If you wanted to close that back over, you lay it down flat, and then I'll show you how to fill it back up again when we get inside. That is about it really for that. So just down below here, we've got this blue drain tap. That is your freshwater drain off point. And then over towards the front a little bit more, we've got your wastewater drain off point, which is the grey one. So, other things to point out, we've got this vent just here, which you can probably hear is working really nicely. This is your boiler vent. So I've got the heating on inside the van at the moment just to make sure it's all working and to warm it up a little bit. But if you've got it working, if you've got it lit up on gas, you should feel hot air pumping out through the bottom of this vent. These 2 vents just here to the side of that are both to do with the fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, you'll feel hot air coming out through the top right hand side of this top vent as well. So they're both ways that you can just double check that they're definitely working. I can feel hot air coming out through that. I can feel hot air coming out through that. So the boiler and the fridge are both definitely working. Freshwater filling point is this one just here, the little circular one on the side of the van. So that is where you would fill up your fresh water. The fresh water, you'll know when it's full because it will start overflowing underneath the van. It's totally normal. It just means that you've got to the overflow, which is at the top, and then you can stop filling it up. Got another storage locker just here. Your external water point, which is just here behind the door. You've got the point for that just here, bullfinch fitting. So external water point, hot and cold. And then the last bit to show you is your hookup point. So you've got the electric hookup point here. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, I would always recommend to have it plugged in. It means that you can use any of your mains powered appliances. It means that you don't have to worry about your leisure battery's voltage, which leisure battery sits in here. It just means that you don't have to worry about anything. Everything's going to be being charged up. All of your power is going to be, you've got power to everything that you can possibly have power to. So if you have access to a hookup cable, really, really handy to have that plugged in. Right, I'm just going to jump into the cab and then I'll show you around here. Just going to grab the keys out. Okay, so the cab itself, you've got a really nice high spec in here actually. So we'll start over here on the driver's door. So you've got the blackout blinds on the driver's door. So if you just literally pull these across, they'll lock into position with the little magnetic strips. So you've got that on both side doors and the front windscreen here as well. So you can just squeeze these little tabs together, or apart, sorry, and then they'll pull together, and then you have to meet them in the middle to make them stay together. But that's how you would use those blackout blinds. On the actual door itself, you've got the lock and unlock function, electric windows, and your electric adjusting mirrors from that little joystick here. So you just choose which mirror you want to move and then use it as a joystick. You've also got the cruise control function here. So you've got this extra stalk down here on the left hand side. That's your cruise control. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox as opposed to the 5-speed, which is always nice. To engage reverse, you lift up on the back just here, over and up to the top left hand side. That'll get you into reverse. Your reversing camera comes up on this little screen here on the actual stereo. So it is a fairly small screen, but you can see it. It's quite clear, so you can actually see where you're going with that. Below that, we've got your air conditioning switch from that one there, which again is another thing that's not a standard thing. So there's another nice extra to have. So your air conditioning and then all of your heater controls either side of that. It's pretty straightforward on that side of things, really. You can lock and unlock the cab from here as well. You've got your hazard warning lights, a couple of 12-volt sockets there, but that's about it really, I think, for the cab. Both of your front seats here are swivel seats, so if you pull on these handles here, this one is missing its little cover, but it doesn't really make a difference, to be honest. So if you pull on this one here or here, whichever way it will go, there you go, you'll then be able to swivel the seat. Okay, so the layout in this particular vehicle is you've got a front lounge, so you can swivel both front seats around, as I said, and then you've got a nice big front lounge, so you can easily sit about 5 people around here. It does make up into a little sort of single/double bed, so these will be typically sort of advertised as a 3/4 berth. So if you pull these together and make the bed up, yes, it does cut off at a bit of a corner here, but perhaps if it was 2 kids, more than big enough for that, or 1 adult. Towards the back, you've got a full-size transverse bed. So transverse bed meaning that it goes from side to side all the way across the back of the van. And this is one of the lowest transverse beds that I've seen. So normally, when you've got a transverse bed, you'll find that it starts about here, so that you've got a bigger garage underneath. But actually, this means that you've got proper headroom, you've got space in here for a TV, you've got your big windows here and all that sort of stuff. So it's a much better space here for the bed area, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you into this cupboard here. So this is your power supply unit. Okay, so I will get through to the control panel in a minute as well, but this is sort of the heart of the vehicle, if you like. So this is what all of the power around the entire vehicle comes to this box here. So the electric hookup goes straight to here, the leisure battery goes straight to here, and then basically it gets sent around the vehicle from here. So the only reason I'm really showing you this is because you've got 2 banks of fuses just here, and your trip switches up here to the right. Now next to each one of the fuses and the trip switches is a little thing saying what it does and what size it should be. So if you think you've got obviously any problems at all, you can come to us and we'll sort bits and pieces out for you, or anything out for you. But if you find that you need something done desperately, or you're away in the vehicle and you can't get to us or whatever, let's just say, for example, you come into the van one day, you turn the water pump on, and it just won't work. You can't get the water pump to come on. You could, if you wanted to, just come in here and find the one that says water pump. So, yep, number 5 is your water pump. So you would literally just take out this number 5 fuse, have a little look at it. If it's blown, replace it. And, that'll get you out of trouble. So this is the beauty of these control panels, these power supply units, is that they give you literally tell you what they all do and what size they need to be. Same goes for the trip switches. If you come in with your mains hookup plugged in and you can't get something to work on the mains, you can have a little look in here. Let's just say the electric ring on the hob wouldn't work. We come in here and we'll see straight away the first one here says sockets/hob, and we will just lift this up and just check that that's definitely upright. And it's as easy as that. So that is obviously just a basic kind of first step, kind of checking things. If there's anything else wrong with anything after that, then of course we can sort it out. But as I say, if you're away in the van, you can't get anybody to have a look for you or whatever, it's so easy just to have a little look in there and just check things, if you want to do that. Anyway, So that is your power supply unit locker. Pretty much all AutoTrails of this sort of age have it in here, and they all use these Sergeant units. You've got your TV aerial booster up there above it, switched on at the moment. Doesn't need to be switched on at the moment, but you can do that if you want to. You've got your entertainment system, which is another thing that is a standard AutoTrail thing from this sort of year. I believe this little switch just here should turn it on. There you go. And then you've got the TV working straight away. Okay, so having that TV aerial booster on up there with a little red light on it is what's allowing that to work. So you can switch this button off, telly goes off, and then you can just literally lift it up. So that is your power supply. And I always just like to mention that on the AutoTrails because it's such a good idea that it's, you know, got its own locker and it's all nice and easy. So yeah, there we go. So the control panel, which is above the habitation door just here, is another thing which is very, very straightforward and easy to use. It's a Sergeant control panel, so it links directly up to the power supply unit, but you've literally got a power switch, so just turn that on when you want to come into the van and switch things on. Water pump, which I'm not going to turn on because I've got absolutely no water in the van because we've, you know, winterized it. Auxiliary, which is essentially just any optional extras, any 12-volt bits and pieces. So I, generally speaking, I would just come in and turn the power and the aux button on. You know then that, you know, you've got power to go into everything really. And then you've got this in the middle here, which is basically a gauge. So whatever we select over here, it's going to show us on here. So we've got your leisure battery voltage. If I click that, it'll come up telling us the leisure battery voltage. That is absolutely fine. We've got no hookup plugged in at the moment. We've got all the power on, we've got lights on, the boiler's whirring away. So it's perfectly normal for that leisure battery voltage to be a little bit lower. Vehicle battery voltage, again, absolutely fine. It's not running at the moment. That's pretty normal. Fresh water level. So that's telling us absolutely empty on the fresh water. And then wastewater level. So the wastewater will only light up if you need to empty it. Okay, so you get a little red light next to it if it needs emptying. Right, you'll also notice that when I click on these two buttons here, the little light above it will stay on, and that's because we're selecting which battery we're using. So all the time that you're in the van using power, you want the little red light next to the L, which is your leisure battery. If you have the little red light next to your vehicle battery button up there, the vehicle battery is going to be the thing powering all of your things in the back end of the van, which for obvious reasons you don't want to do. If you were to leave it on vehicle for too long, you go to start the van up and it'll be completely flat. So make sure that you leave it on leisure anytime that you're using power in the back end of the van. Right, so to the right of that, we've got these two dials here. So in the middle, these are just light switches. All right, so we can ignore those for now. That's just simple stuff. On the left, you see the one there says Combi, and on the right, it says Combi E. So the Combi E on the right-hand side, that is your energy selector for the boiler. So these are both to do with the boiler, because you've got a Truma Combi boiler in here. So the Combi E couldn't be any easier. So you literally, if you want to use it on gas, you leave it where it is in the middle, okay? If you don't want to use it on gas and you just want to use it on 240-volt electric, so that's when you're hooked up on the mains, you would go up 1 or up 2, which is either 4 or 8 amps of mains electric. So if we didn't have the gas switched on and we did have the electric hookup plugged in, we would be up on 1 or 2. Okay, back to the middle, where we are at the moment is gas only. If I was to go down 1 or down 2, as you can probably work out by the pictures, it means gas and 1 electric or gas and 2 electric. So either gas and 4 amps of electric or gas and 8 amps of electric. So that is for when, for obvious, you know, obviously if you've got the gas and the electric hookup plugged in, you can use them both at the same time. But if I'm completely honest, I very rarely would recommend doing that because it doesn't really get hotter much quicker. I would just use one or the other if I was you. But yeah, that's up to you. So for the time being, we need to leave this here on gas because I've only got the gas on. I don't have the hookup plugged in, so I can only use it on gas anyway. So we're going to leave it in the middle there. The one on the left, the one that just says combi, is the switch that actually tells the boiler what to do. So I can do whatever I want over here. It won't do anything at all until I actually tell the boiler what to do over here. So at the moment, because I haven't got any water in the boiler whatsoever, I can't use the water heating. Okay, so I can't go up to the top there or all the way down at the bottom. So anywhere that you've got these little squiggly lines with a number next to it, that's what means hot water. So where I am at the moment here on this little gas flame symbol, that is heating only. Okay, so as I say, I've got no water in the van at the moment, so it'll be a really bad idea to try and heat the water up inside the boiler because it's empty. Okay, so that's why I've chosen gas only. That's why I've gone down 1. If I go back to the middle here, you get the little green light flashing for a minute because that's the system cooling itself down. It will stop flashing once it's cooled down. So if I went up 1 or up 2 to either 40 or 60, that's our hot water only function. If I go down once, that's heating only. And if I go down twice, it's heating and hot water at the same time. So I'm just going to switch that off for now because I don't actually need the heating on anymore. So that is how you would use the boiler. Now you've got little circular vents around the van, wherever they might be. You've got one down there next to the bathroom. You should have one up here, so I've got a couple up here. So that's where your heating is going to come out from. So anytime that you're using the heating on the combi there, you're going to have hot air pumping out through the little circular beige vents. The hot water will take about half an hour to an hour on either function. So just bear that in mind. You don't expect it to be hot after 5 minutes because I promise you it won't be. But yeah, that's how you use the Truma Combi boiler. Nice and easy. You have got a window on the door just here, so that will open and close nice and freely like that. And because you've got the door, the window there, you've got a fly screen and a blackout light. Right, so rest of the van, I will just explain something to you about the water pump and the water system. Now, I can't show you it working because, as I said before, I've got absolutely not a drop of water in the van. So I'm going to explain how it all works, but you'll just have to try it out for yourself when you come to use the van for the first time. So if you want to use the hot water, if you want to get the water hot, you obviously have to make sure the boiler is full. So in this particular case, because we've drained the boiler out of all of its water, we know for a fact at the moment that it's empty because that tab in the garage there, the yellow tab, is facing upright. So that is literally just opening a little valve and every single bit of the water from inside the boiler is now on the floor. So when we want to fill the boiler back up, we're going to go back around to the garage and lay that yellow tab down flat. And then we'll make sure that we've got some water in the fresh tank. So put water in the fresh tank. And then you will turn the water pump on. Now what will happen is when you turn the water pump on for the first time after shutting that drain off point, is the boiler is sort of first in line, okay, for the water system. The hot side of the system goes through the boiler first before it does anything else. So what you'll find is once you've put the pump back on, you won't be able to get any proper water coming through the tap until the boiler's full up. So what you need to do is lift the tap up on the hot side of the tap there and just wait for the water to start coming through nice and clearly. Now, it'll probably take between, I don't know, a minute to a minute and a half to actually pressurize the boiler because it's 10 litres of water inside the boiler. So it will take a few minutes to actually get going and start coming through the tap again normally. But that's the process. You would lay the boiler drain back down, fill the water tank up, turn your water pump on, and then just literally open the tap up on the hot side and wait for it to start coming back through. As soon as that water starts coming back through the tap there, and you can see a really steady flow of water coming through and it's not coughing and spluttering and going everywhere, you can turn that tap off. The pump should turn itself off when it gets to pressure, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and that's it. Completely pressurized and ready to use. Now, if you want to watch that happening, if you want to watch me sort of doing that in person, there's hundreds of other videos on this YouTube channel, which I've, you know, obviously had water in it, but it's only because it's getting towards winter now and we're draining out all the vans. So if you wanted to have a look on there, I've actually got another video on how to winterize the vans, how to use the combi boilers. So have a little look through if you want to, and just see, you'll see hundreds of videos of me using these and actually priming it and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to look at that, you can do. Right, so you've got the cooker here. So you've got a range cooker. This is a spin flow range cooker. You've got the option of the electric ring on there at the back as well, which works with this little dial here on the left. Now that is a mains powered appliance, so I can put it on 6 right now, and I can have my hand on that for as long as I want. It will not do anything at all. Okay, so you have to make sure that if you want to use that on the mains, you have to have the mains cable plugged in. These 3 burners have all got their own ignition just here. So if you want to light any one of those up, you do that with the ignition switch just there. The ignition switch is the same for the grill as well. And the oven at the bottom. To be honest with you, I don't really go into any more detail than that on the cookers because they're so easy and straightforward to use. There's not really anything to it. So I will leave it at that. Above here, we've got a microwave. To be honest, not much to say about that. It's just another mains appliance, so you will need the electric hookup to plug in before you can use that. We've got a nice big wardrobe in here. We've got all the carpets in here. If you want to lay those back down again, you can. We always just take them up because you can then see, you know, you can see what's going on the floor. You have got the original factory fitted carpeting through here. All right, so these are just basically sort of lay down rugs and things like that. But the AutoTrails do come with a carpet sort of factory fitted like this. Hence why we've lined it with the plastic. So it's, you know, it's up to you. If you want to lay these back down again, they've obviously been made to fit. So, and they're not cheap to be done. So have a little look, see what you think. All the paperwork for the van is inside this brown folder here. So there's absolutely loads of paperwork in there for all the appliances. And you can have a little read through those if you should need to or want to. Right, so the next appliance is this, which is your 3-way Dometic fridge. So when I say a 3-way fridge, I mean it works on 3 different energies, which you can see listed over here. So the one at the top, which I've got on at the moment, is the gas. We've then got the electric hookup in the middle and 12-volt electric at the bottom. So the way that you use this fridge is that you have to get it cold first, either on the gas or the mains electric, because they are the only 2 ways that will get the fridge cold by itself. And then you only use the 12-volt, the little battery symbol here, you only use that to keep the fridge, the temperature inside the fridge whilst you drive. And the reason for that is, for, well, obvious reasons really, you can't have the gas on when you're driving, or you definitely shouldn't. You obviously can't have a hookup cable plugged into the van when you're driving, so that one wouldn't work. And so the 12-volt is the only way you can keep the fridge cold as you drive. If you imagine if you have the fridge lit up on gas and then you go for a drive, you've got a bright blue burning flame in the back there in a little igniter thing. And as soon as you start driving around, that flame's going to be going all over the place, getting onto the very much flammable insulation that's around it. So please, God, don't do that. That's a really, really bad thing to do. So switch over to 12-volt for when you're driving. Okay, now the fridge will take a good sort of 3 or 4 hours to get completely cold. So just bear that in mind. If you're going to go away on holiday, you have to make sure the fridge is cold before you leave, as I just said. So you need to make sure that fridge is cooling down a good few hours before you leave. Over on the right, you've got a little temperature selector, so just sort of adjust that as and when you need to. That's about it, really. So the door being in the garage there is because previous owner has fitted this sort of sliding tambour like style of door. Okay, it does work and it fits quite nicely, but the person that's bought the vehicle has asked for us to leave the door down there in the garage, so that you've got the option of, you know, refitting it or leaving it like this. So in the bathroom itself, you've got the shower, separate shower here, which is a nice size. It's literally just a hot and cold tap there, just like any household shower. So again, I don't really run through those very often. Same goes for the sink. It's literally hot and cold tap there, all the same taps. But so the only reason the only thing that I normally run through in the bathrooms is the toilets. So very, very easy. You've got a blue button here on the right hand side. Now this probably won't work. No. So the reason it won't work is because I've got no water in the fresh tank and you've got a fresh water flush on here. So in order to flush the toilet at any time, you have to have water in the tank. So you need to make sure that you fill that tank up a little bit at least, if you want to use the toilet. But basically you would press the blue button just there to pump around the flush fluid. You probably need the pump switch turned on as well on the control panel to use that. And then you would open up the flap by pushing this to the right. That'll drain out whatever's in the bowl there into the actual cassette. And then make sure that you push this back whenever you're done. And that is it. That is all you need to do. So, just going to double check, make sure I've not missed anything out. I don't think I've missed anything out. If you think there's anything you want me to go over again or anything you think I've missed out whatsoever, just give us a shout. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.